Hi kids! Today we will be learning about solid column graphs. So let's get started. Miss recorded the number of books read by students in her class and depicted it as a graph, where symbol of one book represents 5 books. Now, let's answer a few questions based on this graph. Now, can you tell? Bob read how many books? Let's count. There are 2 book symbols, and 1 book stands for 5 books. Where symbol of 1 book represents 5 books. So 5 plus 5, or 5 times 2 equals to 10. So Bob read 10 books according to the graph. Can you tell Cheryl read how many books? Let's count. There are 4 book symbols, and 1 book means 5 books. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, or 5 times 4 equals 20. So Cheryl read 20 books. Now, can you tell Maurice read how many books? Let's count. There are 3 book symbols, and 1 book means 5 books. So Maurice read 5 plus 5 plus 5, or 5 times 3 equals 15. That is, Maurice read 15 books. Now, who read the maximum number of books? There are 5 book symbols against the name of Kim, which is most of all. So Kim read the maximum number of books also. 1 book stands for 5 books here. So Kim read 5 times 5 equals 25. That is 25 books. So Kim read 25 books, which is the most of all. Now, who read the least number of books? There is only 1 book symbol against the name of Raj, which is the least of all. So Raj read the least number of books, that is 5 books. Now, how many students read more books than Maurice? Let's find it out. There are 2 columns where there are more book symbols than Maurice. So 2 students read more books than Maurice. Now, can you tell who read more books than Cheryl? Let's find it out. There is 1 column where there are more book symbols than Cheryl, and that column belongs to Kim. So Kim read more books than Cheryl. Now, who should be the winner of book reading competition? Yeah, Kim, as Kim read the maximum number of books. Good. Now, let's take another example. Here is a graph showing the number of taxi drivers in different cities. And 1 taxi driver stands for 10 taxi drivers. Now, let's answer a few questions. Question 1. How many drivers are there in Boston? There are 3 driver symbols against Boston, where one symbol says 10 drivers. So 10 plus 10 plus 10, or 10 times 3 equals 30. That is, 30 drivers are there in Boston. Now, how many drivers are there in Berlin? There are 2 driver symbols against Berlin, where one symbol means 10 drivers. So 10 plus 10, or 10 times 2, equals 20. That is, 20 drivers are there in Berlin. Now, which city has least number of taxi drivers? There is only 1 driver symbols against Milton. So, Milton has the least number of drivers. Now, which city has maximum number of taxi drivers? There are 4 driver symbols against Lexington. So, Lexington has the most or maximum number of drivers. Question 5. How many fewer drivers are there in Berlin than Lexington? Let's figure it out. There are 2 driver symbols against Berlin and 4 driver symbols against Lexington. So 4 minus 2 equals 2. So there are 2 more driver symbols against Lexington. And we know one symbol stands for 10 drivers. So 2 times 10 equals 20. So 20 more drivers are there in Lexington than Berlin. Good. Wasn't it so interesting to find out facts from a graph? Now you may go ahead and take a quiz to learn more. Bye-bye. Tutway has thousands of animated videos on math, English, and science to clear the core basics of these subjects.